well. Y'all are a bunch of venomous snakes. Every fruitless thing is about to be chopped down, and there will be unquenchable fire. With this and other good news, John preached to the crowds. And it was so compelling that the people were filled with expectation. Might this be the Messiah we've been waiting for so long? People were seeking this out. They were going to John out in the countryside, the wilderness. Was this fire and brimstone sermon what they were looking for? If so, I wonder why. And if not, I wonder why they stayed. Why their hearts began burning with anticipation. What about his harsh teaching seemed to point to Messiah? What about his words felt like good news? Perhaps part of it is that John told the truth. John did not have rose-colored glasses. He did not gloss over the hard things or the messy reality. And I wonder if that felt like relief. John did not say that things were okay when deep down people knew they were not okay. John likely had a dual audience. There were people struggling and suffering under the exploitative Roman rule. And there were Roman citizens, or people collaborating with Rome, benefiting from the abuses of power. And it seems that both are able to receive the truth as good news. It's not too difficult to see how the oppressed people heard "burn the whole thing down" as welcome freedom. But tax collectors, soldiers, others who were well known as perpetrators of extortion also welcomed John's teaching. Human beings, we are distorted both by being exploited and by benefiting from systems of injustice. Whether it's as seemingly mundane as having more coats than you really need, or as blatantly violent as demanding more money under the threat of false accusation, it's not a way that leads to flourishing or wholeness or abundant life. The people hear John call them to account, and they hear it as liberation. We have a drawer in our house. I mean, we have many drawers, but there's one, and it's called the drawer. When you walk in the front door and turn to your left, you enter the kitchen, and there, just to your left again, is a shallow but fairly long drawer. So it's the first one that you can get to when you come in our house. Maybe in your house it's called the junk drawer, but somehow in our home it's just gotten the name the drawer. Need a measuring tape? Check the drawer. Extra batteries? Maybe they're in the drawer. Don't know where you left your wallet? Look in the drawer. Probably got tossed in there. I was thinking about this drawer, the drawer, this week after hearing the spiritual practice of the Examen described as rummaging for God. The Examen is an ancient spiritual practice of examining one's own conscience. And the idea is that in sifting through all the seemingly random stuff of our days, we find God. One particular form of the Examen was popularized by St. Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Roman Catholic religious order, the Society of Jesus, which is commonly known as the Jesuits. Over the centuries, people have refined or adapted it into many different versions. There's no one right way to do it. But what Ignatius emphasized that I think is particularly helpful is that God is found right in the midst of your everyday, messy life, and that paying attention to your own emotions is a clue, a way in to what God is up to. Now, maybe you're like me and you're looking at the pink candle and realizing that means that having reached the third Sunday of Advent officially means Advent is more than half over. Perhaps there's a twinge of panic at all that still needs to get done by the 24th. Maybe there's also a deeper kind of spiritual worry. I haven't had time to prepare my heart. Wasn't I meant to be spending this time getting ready not just for presents or meals, but for God's coming? Or what does that even mean? How do I do it? Honestly, how do I have time? I invite you to try a practice of rummaging for God. It's kind of like just looking through the drawer for the batteries. There are 5 basic steps. 1, pray for illumination. Ask God to bring clarity and understanding through this process. 2, think back through your day with gratitude. Look for small moments of joy, paying attention to people, things in the environment, work or rest, bits of your life for which you can be thankful. Reflect on your emotions. Whether they're good or bad, just note what feelings came up for you. Fear, boredom, anger, peace, delight, compassion. Simply notice. Pick one of those things, one feeling or event, just one. Pray about it. It doesn't have to take long. Offer God thanks, or say you're sorry, or tell God you're frustrated, whatever comes to mind. And finally, look toward the next day. Take a moment to consider practically what's ahead for you, what's on your schedule, what feelings you already anticipate, and ask God for whatever help or courage or hope you need. Pray for illumination. Think on your day with gratitude. Reflect on your emotions. Pray about one thing. Look to the next day. It helps you to get glimpses of God among all the rest. Now, if you're one of those folks who has a lot of time on your hands and you're looking for a thorough soul scrubbing as we start this new liturgical year, you can use the same process and go deeply into each step. It's kind of like actually taking everything out of the drawer and deciding what belongs there. If you are able to make a day of it, I commend the practice to you. But that's not required. You can do this instead of turning the radio on your drive home, or the last 10 minutes in bed before you fall asleep. If you're a morning person, you can do it when you wake up, thinking over the previous day and preparing for the day ahead. You could do it on a lunchtime walk, or you could even start it as a weekly rather than daily practice. What's valuable is making this practice of rummaging through your days and seeing what catches your attention, what God is asking you to notice. It's a way of answering the question the crowds kept asking John, what then should we do? John shows us that to be liberated, we must tell the truth about our own lives. Ignatius of Loyola gives us a tool to do that. We need to know what areas of our life are not fruitful. What systems are we participating in that need to be overturned? What needs to be chopped down? What behaviors that seem to benefit us are actually toxic? What distortions need to be burned away from our souls? And in turn, what is feeding us? What needs our attention, nurture, and care? It is countercultural to say that this is the preparation we need for Christmas. It might require letting some things go, setting down some of the busyness that is not ultimately fulfilling. But if we believe, as we proclaim, that the season is not just about remembering a birth that happened once 2,000 years ago, but about the inbreaking of God with us, among us, in us, then it is a gift to look at and name honestly the ways in which we are not okay. It is a gift to find that God is as close as the minutia of our days, as close as our own emotions. So friends, let's rummage through our drawers. It takes a bit of attention and some real honesty. But there is hope and liberation waiting to be found. The Messiah is coming, here, again, now. And that is good news.